Masturbation. So here we go. I have a joke on pre-masturbation before you started masturbating. Remember how before you started masturbating, you and your friends would, you'd be rifling through your parents' and their parents' medicine cabinets, and you'd see Vaseline, and you're like 8 or 9, and they'd be like, "Oh, you must be masturbating. You got the Vaseline," and you're like, "Oh yeah, of course. Like that's exactly what I use, of course." And then the time comes when you are you get to the age where you do start to masturbate, and you open up the medicine cabinet, and you're like, what do we got here? KY jelly, massage oil, purple stuff. Oh, Vaseline, alright, here it is. And you use it, but it turns out to be the worst fucking thing to masturbate with. It's like jacking off in quicksand. It's like stops you from masturbating. It's like pumping up a super soaker for the 100th time. It's like the last one. And you're like, don't pull the trigger. Alright, pull the trigger. Yeah, it's broken. We're going to the hospital. I was at work the other day. I was smoking a cigarette on my break, and this homeless guy came up to me, and he asked me for $1. And I got super pissed off because he was asking me for money at the thing that I do to get money. And it's almost like you're looking for a girlfriend, and we're in a girlfriend recession, and they're really hard to find. And you're looking on Craigslist, and then you go on a couple dates, and they're all like, "Oh, we'll put your number in the thing. We're not really looking right now." And then you finally do get a girlfriend, and you're banging on the regular, and some stranger opens your window and is like, "Hey man, I just came in from Charlotte, and we